Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. Today's the 19th of July. My birthday's in 11 days. Get the math right. 11 days. So yeah, today's Friday. Just enjoying the day. I have just one class on Friday, so I'll just include some footage of riding up to class on my bike. Just what it's like to get up to class every day. Where I got hit. Maybe I'll point out where that guy hit me on the bike. So that happened last Friday, a week ago exactly. Bunch of garbage to deal with that. So basically I'm just riding in the bike lane and I'm coming up on the light. So the lights are like timed perfectly to where if you're just riding a decent pace on a bicycle, you hit every single green light. So just imagine we're going this way. There's a line of cars, probably 5-6 cars here. The bike lane goes down beside it and we get the green light. So those cars are stopped like this and I can see that they're starting to go. Cool, I'm just cruising down the bike lane past everybody. Probably doing 5 miles an hour under the speed limit, so 20 miles an hour, something like that. It's 25 right there. Anyways, I notice that 2 cars from the back, this big white truck isn't really moving, but I'm just gonna come down around the side of him anyways. I figured he was just on his phone or whatever. So as soon as I get past that white truck, the white truck's here going this way. There's a car right here trying to turn into the gas station, which is an illegal left turn. You can't turn left. Alright guys, just a heads up, here's the intersection where it happened. I was coming the other way on the opposite side of that light, and the guy turning left was heading essentially in my direction. I don't know if he had just turned from the road that's crossing right here, but essentially he was, once I just go through the intersection, he would have been turning left into that gas station, and I was coming down the opposite way. Right at that intersection, it's a double yellow. There's a turn lane, there's a straight through lane, and there's a bike lane, and there's just not enough time for people to stop there, back up traffic so somebody can turn left into the gas station. So it's double yellowed. So as soon as I get past this white truck, here comes somebody turning left. I guess the white truck either nosed in front of the white truck, or the white truck was like, all right, fine, I'll just let you go. So as soon as he comes across, there's nothing I could do. I actually grabbed my brake so hard that I ripped the grip tape underneath the brake on the left side, and I tried steering around him to get around the back side of him because he was already coming. He stomped on the brakes, and I just nailed him in the rear tire, and I ended up flipping over his trunk, the trunk of his car, and his car didn't look like it had any damage, but my bike got wrecked. I landed fine. So I play soccer a lot and I'm a goalkeeper, so I'm used to just diving around, landing on the ground. So I don't even remember how I landed. The adrenaline just started pumping immediately, but I wasn't hurt. So the guy pulled into the gas station, so I went up there, and respectfully, I wasn't, I don't like getting mad at people like, dude, what the heck, you hit me, whatever, you're not supposed to be doing that. So I tried to keep it cool and polite, like, look man, you wrecked my bike. I'm like, now I'm out of a bicycle. And it was a vintage road bike. It was really nice, a KHS, and it was worth probably 150 bucks. And he's like, well, I'll pay for your tire or whatever. So I'm like, look, yeah, I'm like, if you just want to pay for the bike, that's fine. So he gave me his number, and I texted him. He texted me back right away. He texted me back before I even got home, and luckily it was just 2 blocks from home. So I just, popped it up on the rear. The front wheel, the front fork was just bent into the frame. The frame was bent. The wheel was just, folded like a little crepe. So I just popped it up on the back wheel, walked home, got it to, roll as much as it could. And he texts me back, and I'm like, look, man, yeah, I'll figure out how much the bike's worth, take it to a shop or whatever, and just let you know. So he's like, okay, I'm really sorry. Nice guy. So then I wanted to make sure before I told him, look, give me $150 for the bike, that it was his fault, because in the moment I'm like, okay, everything's just running through my head, and I'd feel bad if it was my fault, if I wasn't in the bike lane or for whatever reason. I'm like, okay, now give me 150 bucks, and I was the one that caused the crash or whatever. So I was in the bike lane. And on top of it, when I got out, he's like, whoa, you were going really fast. I'm like, well, I wasn't going over the speed limit. He's like, whoa, were you even in a bike lane? I'm like, yeah, I was in a bike lane. So he was already trying to throw out excuses. Anyways, so I text him back. I'm like, yeah, it's worth 150 bucks. And I'm like, it's going to cost more to fix the bike than it's worth. So I'm like, just pay me 150 bucks, which he told me, meet me on Friday and pay for it. So this was Monday. I think I texted him, and I haven't heard a word from him. Granted, I haven't called him or texted him back, which I'll probably do today. But, I expected to hear something from him. So I'll try and get a hold of him. If not, I'll probably just file a police report, go to the gas station and pull up the surveillance and get his license plate number. And I have his name and his phone number. What I should have done is take a picture of his driver's license. You know, but I'll probably just try and call him or text him and say, look, man, I don't want to file a police report. You know, for whatever reason, he doesn't have insurance or whatever. I don't want to be a jerk and be like, okay, you know, I'll just try and get him to take care of it. But anyway, so that's, yeah, I'm out of a bicycle. Luckily, I had bought another vintage road bike to fix up, and I was just going to sell it, but I'm riding that now. And I'll just probably include a picture of that bicycle that's wrecked. It's in the back of my truck because I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of it. So yeah, I'm out of a bicycle, hopefully not out of 150 bucks. I got to get a hold of the guy. So yeah, I'll probably go down to the intersection too and just kind of lay out, here's how it happened. The guy turned right here, and it's super obvious when you go back and look at it that he was definitely in the wrong. So you know, hopefully that gets all sorted out. For specifically this one job, okay, let's start from zero. The worst part about being a mechanic is that nobody trusts you. Like, nobody trusts a mechanic. If they do trust the mechanics, because they've been going to them their whole life and they're not looking for a new mechanic. So I don't get those customers. Anybody who's looking for a mechanic, they just don't trust anybody. So I have to like prove myself in every aspect, which is fine. It keeps me accountable of my work. The way I deal with people, the way I talk with them. If I'm, you know, late in responding to their messages and they start getting leery, they start getting upset. So specifically, one time I worked on these people's car. They had a pretty new Ford Explorer and they just wanted spark plugs changed. Pretty common service. I just charged my normal service fee plus whatever the spark plugs cost to go in and change those 6 spark plugs. And the intake, obviously it's a V6, so it's front wheel drive. The motor's, you know, sitting this way in the car, not this way, so you have to take the intake off to get to those rear cylinders and spark plugs. So I do that, you know, make sure I do everything right. It's a new car, so I don't want to pay for any plastic pieces that break. Those things start getting expensive, and I usually, you know, let that on me if I break something on their car. Now, if something breaks, something plastic thing breaks, and it's not my fault, I'll just tell them, look, it just broke, and I was being careful with it, whatever. I'll charge them for it, but I'm usually just very careful with plastic pieces, and on new cars, they're expensive. I don't know why it's a piece of plastic. Anyway, so I pay close attention to get everything off in the correct order, make sure everything, you know, map it out in my mind, perfect. Get them in, done, put the intake back on. Don't notice any problems with it, boom, boom, boom. About 7 little bolts, 8mm bolts. Just use my little gun, it's a little impact driver, to put them all back on. And then that was the end of the day. It was pretty late, so I don't really check my phone at night. I don't really check it in the morning. I don't like to check my phone if I'm not at work, so I get back into work the next day. I don't think it was even a school day, so probably just when I got out here to the truck and started getting stuff organized and worked on. I noticed that I had some messages from them saying like, oh, well, something happened with the car, something. And when I left, I mean, they were skeptical even when I left. Before they paid me, the guy's like, let me go check and look at it. You give me the old parts back, which is fine. That doesn't offend me. I appreciate when people are skeptical and they want to see their old parts and stuff, because mechanics do that. They'll say, hey, we're going to change this, you need to change this, and they don't, and they just charge you for it. So yeah, I give them the spark plugs. They're still warm. So I'm like, obviously they're your spark plugs. Mike, do you want the boxes for the new spark plugs as well? Like, just get everything out of the way. Just, you know, try and be as cooperative as possible. And he's like, I'm sure he doesn't know what he's looking for, because if he did, he would have just changed the spark plugs by himself, because it's an easy job. And besides, the cover goes back over the motor, and he wasn't over there for enough time to lift up the cover to even see the coils and where the spark plugs were. So whatever, he just hooks under the hood, comes back, they give me a check, and I tell him, I'm like, okay, I guarantee all my work for 12 months, whatever. I don't think I said that. I typically do. I said I guarantee my work, so I'll take care of it if anything happens, which it shouldn't. Everything went together well. And I specifically remember putting that upper intake manifold back on and everything. Cool, just sold a bike. That's another story. I've got several different bikes, but I didn't like one of them, and so anyways, we'll get into that later. So if I remember where I was at, he kind of checks everything out. Oh, I'm like, so I guarantee all my work, whatever. So I get some messages, and I didn't even check if they were from that night or if they were from the next morning, I don't know. Got into work, saw some messages like, hey, we're having problems, you know, a light came on, the check engine light came on, and a light that says low engine coolant came on. They're like, can you give us a call? So I sent them a message. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll take care of it. And then I give them a call because they gave me their number, and I'm like, hey, yeah, this is the mechanic, what's up? And the guy just starts going off, you know, hey, you're just breaking stuff on our cars so you can make more money later. I'm like, look, I do good business. I'm an honest kid. I like working on cars. I like helping people. You know, I'm like, I've got a reputable business, which is Your Only Mechanic Utah. If you ever Google it, leave a 5-star review. That's what I tell all my customers. Just to leave a review. I treat people really nicely and fairly. You know, if I mess something up, I take care of it. But I had advertised this business on Facebook, specifically Facebook Marketplace, and I don't think I advertised it through my business name. I think it ended up posting through just my personal account. So he's like, well, you're just some sketchy guy. I'm like, look, I've got a reputable business, and what I do is I have this work truck, and it's super official, but sometimes if it's an easy job close by or far away, if it's an easy job, I take our little Hyundai because it gets like 30 miles to the gallon. It's got like an eco mode, just a small little car, so I usually take that if I'm going far. So I'm like, no man, I'm like, where was I at? Why did I get into that car? Oh, so I probably looked like, you know, to him, oh, he's just some guy, you know, some college kid trying to make money, doesn't know what he's doing. So I'm like, no, like, you know, look at my business, whatnot. He wasn't having any of it. He's like, the dealership said that you put a bolt through a wiring harness and it's going to cost $500. And I'm like, you know, play the record sound here. I'm like, stop. I'm like, they're probably trying to replace the whole wire harness because that's how dealerships are. But I'm like, no matter what, you know, it's probably one circuit, you know, for the engine coolant sensor. Maybe one wire broke. Maybe the only thing I can think of, and in my mind I don't ever remember seeing anything out of place. I even remember looking at the upper intake manifold go on perfectly flush with the lower. So I mean, obviously it probably happened that there was a problem right after they took it to the dealership. They said that's what happened, that it got put in between the upper and lower intake manifold. I just don't remember seeing it, but they said I put a bolt through it. I'm like, if I did put a bolt through it, you know, maybe it broke a wire, but I would have felt it when I was putting that bolt in to break it through that wire, break it through that harness to get into the, you know, receiving end and put that bolt in. I didn't feel anything, so I'm imagining I squished it, and if I did, I'm imagining maybe out of all things, if the connector's here and the wires go through the connector, you know, like so, it's still like this. Maybe I pulled the wires out of the connector and it needs a new connector. Maybe I broke a wire, but I'm like, I did the job probably in 30 minutes. Whatever I broke, you could have got to in the time I did that job. If it was a wire, that's half an hour's worth of labor to go and solder a wire, put a soldering connector in the wire, which I've got some cool ones I'll talk about later. This video is probably getting long. I'm like, there's no way that should have cost $500, but because he was already, you know, didn't want to trust me or anything, he's like, nope, I'm having them fix it. And I feel bad. At that point, I feel bad because I'm like, that's $500 of their dollars. And I told him numerous times I'd fix it for free, but he's like, well, I don't trust you. You know, you're doing some shoddy work or something like this, which doesn't really offend me. It it makes me upset, it makes me sad, because I try and establish such a good relationship with people that, you know, I can't, you know, be perfect all the time. I did make a mistake. I say they happen. I guarantee my work, so I was more than willing to go fix it for free, and they didn't want me to. He's like, well, if you want to make it up to us, you'll come do a smaller job later for free. And I'm like, look, I can't guarantee, I'm not going to pay for the dealership service, you know, and kind of, I don't know if I'd say out of the question to come and do work later for free. You know, if it's something easy like fixing a wire, sure, why not? It's equal. But I think he has in his mind that it's a $500 job, and now he's going to want me to replace his motor or something. I don't know. It should have been a super easy fix. Fixing a connector or getting a new connector and wiring it into their old harness, or just fixing the wire. So just a little disappointing to me that, one, they didn't trust me enough to come back and fix it, and two, it cost them a lot of money, which it shouldn't have. They could have gone to another mechanic, and, you know, mechanics' rates are a lot more than what I charge. So I can imagine somebody charging $150 to fix it, and I could have done it in 10 minutes for 2 cents or $1 or whatever I paid for that specific connector or whatever. So yeah, just a little sad. That's probably it. Well, I'll probably just end off this video with some footage of taking the kid, Mac, and Bug. Bug's not the kid, Mac's the kid. bug. My wife and I took our kid to the river over here, and we played around yesterday, and it's cool. It's probably like a nice, a cool swimming pool, like not a summertime warm swimming pool, but a nice cool swimming pool. In the earlier spring, when all that snow's melting off the mountains, it's cold, but it was cool. And I jumped in, and we got Mac in the water, so we'll see. Maybe I'll upload some footage of how he enjoyed that. But that's it, everybody. Peace out. Thanks for watching.
It's really not that deep. Not that deep, huh? Slowly though, it might be cold. Oh, you're so cold. Is that
Okay, everybody, thanks again so much for watching. Just trying to grow the channel, so if you don't mind, just please like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and just share. Thanks again for visiting, and we'll see you next time.